Hi everyone, this is Heather from the Flourish Academy, where our goal is to empower, educate, and elevate you to create a life that you love through the art and business of photography. In this video, we are going to look at the tonality adjustments available inside of Lightroom. But first, make sure you check out all of the free resources available on our website. This is my son, Evan, learning how to use our log splitter. We live on a homestead and heat our home through a wood-burning furnace, and I like to teach my children that it takes work in order to stay warm. Sometimes when you are working in a photograph inside of Lightroom, a simple exposure and contrast adjustment will do. But if you would like to take more control, lightening and darkening areas in your image based on their tonal value, then you might want to explore the highlights, shadows, whites, and blacks section of the basic panel. Highlights and whites work very similar. They both lighten and darken the brightest pixels, but the whites will affect a broader range and the highlights will affect a more narrow range. Let's begin by pulling up and down on the whites to see exactly how it impacts the photograph. If you hold down Alt or Option on your keyboard while pulling on this slider, you'll notice that it starts to show you the clipping areas. And the clipping areas are just Lightroom's way of indicating where the photo will begin to lose data. Obviously, I can do the same with the highlight slider. I can pull it up or down, and I can also hold down Alt or Option in order to examine any areas that might be clipped. Which way you adjust these sliders is greatly dependent upon the look you're going for in the photograph. If at any time you don't like the direction that you are going, you can double click the slider in order to reset it to 0, and you can also double click the word to accomplish the same thing. Now, a quick way to allow Lightroom to establish the white point for you is to hold down Shift on your keyboard and double click the white slider. You can also do the same for the black slider. Now, the shadows in the blacks target the darker areas of the image. If I hold down Shift and double click on the black slider, Lightroom will automatically select a black point for me. Let's take a look at the overall before and after by pressing the / key on the keyboard. Now, as you can tell, allowing Lightroom to automatically set the white and black points has improved the contrast. But I feel like there are some dark areas in the shadows that I'd like to bring up, so I'm simply going to increase the shadows in order to bring those out. Occasionally when I'm pulling up on the shadows, I notice that it does lose some contrast. I can increase that contrast by pulling down on the blacks rather than using the contrast slider, and I actually prefer this method because I feel like it works better, but really that's just a personal preference. If you would prefer to use the contrast slider, you may do so. I just find it to be a little bit harsh. I'm going to double click it back to 0. I hope that you found this quick overview of these sliders to be helpful. I'll see you in the next video.